What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel and podcast network. Noah Hiles coming to you on Monday. Still here in the Windy City. Haven't hopped on my flight. Not home either. I've got a special trip planned this week, which you'll find out about soon enough. But before I leave, wanted to talk to you all on this fine Monday about a topic that was a little sensitive this weekend on Pirates Twitter, Pirates social media in general. Probably because of the history tied into or compared to the implications of this situation. And I'm, of course, talking about Andrew Heaney and his usage for the remainder of the season. We're going to get into all of that, but before we do, I want to remind everyone to check out all of my work at post-gazette.com. Get yourself a digital subscription. If you don't have one already, we cover everything in the city of Pittsburgh and its surrounding communities, not just sports, but we do cover sports pretty well. You can read all of our Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins coverage there, along with our college sports and high school coverage. Some football season's right around the corner. So high school football coverage, we cover that amazing. Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia, Duquesne, Robert Morris. We'll have stories about all of them, along with the Steelers. I guess they're a pretty big deal. And, of course, the Pirates from yours truly and Colin Beasley. You can read it all at post-gazette.com. Again, get yourself a digital subscription if you don't have one already. And check out our print product. We print on Sundays and Thursdays. So the big story, one of the big stories to come from the weekend was Andrew Heaney. On Saturday, manager Don Kelly announced that Heaney, the veteran left-hander, 34 years old, was moving from the starting rotation to the bullpen. A move that I think made a lot of sense, but didn't sit well with a lot of Pirate fans for one reason. Well, a couple of reasons. One, a lot of people are still failing to understand why Andrew Heaney is on this team. I guess you could maybe even throw me into that category. He's a guy on an expiring contract, a guy who signed in late February during the beginning of camp on a $5.25 million deal with some incentives, which serve as the root to the topic of this discussion. He performed well in the first half, started to rapidly decline in June, was really bad in July, which the Pirates say is pretty much the reason they couldn't trade this guy. The Pirate fans, a lot of people think he still could have been moved, but the Pirates chose to hang on to him for one reason or another. And so he's still on the team. He was occupying a spot in the rotation, which was kind of counterproductive for what the Pirates' goal was for these last 2 months. They wanted to clear spaces in the rotation for their young arms who are big league ready, guys like Hunter Barco, guys like Bubba Chandler, who could more than likely be up sometime this week, probably. At least one of them I would anticipate joining the team during this upcoming homestand. But no one really had a problem about anything related to Heaney as far as him getting a lesser role until a report surfaced from our pal, Ethan Houlihan, a guy who has all the inside financial information with all these contracts. He reported, and this was known. I knew that Heaney had incentive bonuses. I didn't know the specifics of it, but Ethan made it very clear Saturday. So Andrew Heaney signed for $5.25 million and then had an opportunity to earn another $750,000 in incentives should he meet innings requirements. So if he gets to 120 innings pitched this year, he gets $50,000. If he reaches 130, $100K. If he reaches 140 innings, $150K. And then that same number applies. $150K can also be met if he eclipses 150 innings, 160 innings, 170 innings. This demotion happened when Andrew Heaney was currently sitting at 119 innings pitched. And if you've been following the Pirates for a little over a year, you would understand why this might rub fans the wrong way. Because last season, Rowdy Tellez was designated for assignment in the final week of the regular season when he was 4 plate appearances shy of reaching an incentive bonus. I forget what the exact bonus was. I think it was 100K. He just needed 4 more plate appearances. So that's the connection some people made, that the Pirates were taking the cheap way out again. I'm here to say today, well, first off, disclaimer, if the Pirates designate Andrew Heaney for assignment before allowing him to pitch a game this week, then disregard everything that I'm saying on this video. But if they don't, and I don't intend them to do so, If they keep him in the bullpen for another week, 2, I mean, I think he might eventually get DFA'd, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. If they don't designate him for assignment before the next time he takes the mound, and even if they do to a certain extent, I still don't think you can compare this to the Rowdy Tellez situation. Let me explain why. Rowdy Tellez, although he did not perform well in the month of September, was still performing well enough to play baseball games for the Pittsburgh Pirates. You look at his numbers from June 1st through the end of the season. Rowdy Tellez was slashing 277, 330, 478. That's good for a 120 weighted runs created plus. So he was hitting 20% above league average after June 1st. And he hit 12 home runs over that stretch. These are numbers. I got to give credit to my boys North Shore 9 who pointed this out. Andrew Heaney, meanwhile, has now thrown since June 1st 59 innings. His earned run average is higher than 6.5, and his whip is over 1.4. So the difference is here, Rowdy Tellez was designated for assignment in the final week of the season, despite being one of the better players on the team. Andrew Heaney, meanwhile, deserved a demotion. He himself said this. He talked to us Saturday after this news was made public, and he said, here were his quotes. He said, I haven't been pitching well, and we've got some young guys that we have some young guys that deserve opportunities. I've been in the game long enough to know that you get opportunities that you earn, and I haven't earned it. So let's see if this is true. Heaney, who enters this week, Monday, with 119 and 2/3 innings pitched. He pitched Sunday. He was given 2 ups. He started in, I believe, the 5th inning. He replaced Colin Holderman and then went back out for the 6th inning. Only recorded 2 outs. So again, he's a third of an out away from a $50,000 bonus. So if the Pirates designate him for assignment sometime Monday, that's not a good look. And it kind of negates a lot of what I'm saying. But I don't anticipate that happening. So Heaney, but even if they do, that's a bad look. But Heaney, if he had just played average baseball, pitched average baseball over the last couple of months, he would have already hit these incentives. He's a third of an out. He's 1 out away from reaching the 50K incentive. But you could easily argue, looking at his stat line, if he had just been better in June and July, he'd probably be closer to the 130, if not the 140 inning marker right now. In 5 of Andrew Heaney's last 6 starts, he only reached the 5th inning once. That's probably the target goal for every starter, right? Got to reach that 5th inning. He failed to do that in 5 of his last 6 starts. So there's a lot of innings left off the board there. He had 3 starts this season where he didn't even get to the 4th inning. So again, this guy wasn't performing super well. This was a demotion that should have happened. Candidly, I thought they would have been better off if they couldn't trade him to just cut him then in July and open that spot. But I do see some benefits of maybe hanging on to a veteran in the bullpen, a guy who can, when a game gets out of hand, you have him who is stretched out. You have Heaney who's stretched out, and he can give you length. He can cover half a game in a blowout that's meaningless. That's his role on this team now, and I think that that's a smart role to have for a guy like him who's a veteran, who's A, physically prepared to fill that role, and B, can handle it. He won't lose any confidence getting hit around in a blowout. So I think it's smart to keep him in that role. And yeah, it's just, this was a performance-based demotion. I don't think there are any financial things attached to it. He just wasn't good enough to be a big league starter anymore, especially on a team like the Pirates who are in last place. And when you have younger guys like Chandler, Oviedo, who again, I both think will probably be up soon, and Barco, who might not be far behind, those are the guys who should be in your rotation. I get keeping Andrew Heaney. Again, if they designate him for assignment 1 out away from reaching that 120 marker, that's a bad look. But again, he still should have been over 130 innings. He should be pushing for that 140 mark. I don't think he's going to hit 170 this year. But if he had just been average, he could be over 130 right now, pushing for that 150K mark, and still would probably be in this rotation, or he would have been good enough to get traded and hit those milestone markers for another club. That's my take on the situation. I understand that some people might disagree with this. The Pirates, and candidly, the Pirates as an organization have done very little to nothing to earn the benefit of the doubt on things like this. But I just see it differently. I think this is far more performance-based than it is with Rowdy Tellez. I think it gives you a much longer time frame to give guys younger reps, which they said was the case for Tellez's demotion as well. But that, again, came with like 5 games remaining in the season. The Pirates still have a month and a half of baseball to play. And if that month and a half can go toward starts for Bubba Chandler and Yohan Oviedo, 2 guys who more than likely are going to be in the opening day rotation next year, I think that makes a lot of sense. So that's my take on it. Comment if you disagree. Let me know. Follow me on X @ Noah Hiles. Let me know if you disagree with my opinion on this stance, and comment on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel as well, and read more of my opinions and my overall coverage of the Pittsburgh Pirates at post-gazette.com. Follow everything there. Get yourself a digital subscription if you don't have one already, and keep following along. We cover the Pirates here on this channel every day.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.